The day the aliens came was just like any other day until it wasn't. The sky above New Denver lit up with strange lights that moved too fast and too precisely to be anything made by human hands. Captain Alan Miller watched from the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Horizon as the alien vessel slowed to a stop just beyond the moon's orbit. His hands gripped the command console tightly, but his face stayed calm. The crew needed him to be steady now. "All systems ready, Captain," said Lieutenant Olivia Kent, her eyes never leaving her screen. "Defense grid is up. Should I charge weapons?" Alan shook his head. "Not yet. Let's see what they want first." The alien ship was beautiful in a strange way. It looked like a sea creature made of metal and crystal, with parts that moved even though there were no visible engines. It was 3 times the size of the Horizon, which was already the biggest ship humans had ever built. "They're sending a message," Olivia said, her voice filled with surprise. "It's in English." The main screen lit up, showing a tall figure that made everyone on the bridge gasp. The alien stood nearly 8 feet tall with reddish-brown skin that looked almost like armor. 4 arms extended from its torso, each ending in hands with 7 fingers. Its face had 2 large, gold-colored eyes above a small mouth and no visible nose. "People of Earth," the alien said in a deep voice that sounded like it was speaking through water. "I am Grand Marshal Vorex of the Meridon Empire. We come in peace and with respect." For the next hour, Captain Miller talked with Grand Marshal Vorex while the entire world watched. The Meridons, it turned out, had been watching Earth for decades. They were a race of warriors from a distant galaxy who valued honor and strength above all else. 3 days later, Alan found himself in a large meeting room at Earth Defense Headquarters, with the 4 other humans chosen to meet the Meridons, face to face. Gabriel Rodriguez, a former Special Forces soldier who now trained elite military units, paced near the window. Zoe Washington, a champion in 3 different Earth martial arts, sat perfectly still with her eyes closed, practicing the meditation techniques that had made her famous. Noah Parker, the youngest person in the room at just 25, was busy taking notes on his tablet. Despite his youth, Noah worked as a key diplomat because of his perfect memory and gift for languages. "Do you think they really come in peace?" Gabriel asked, finally stopping his pacing. "In my experience, when someone much stronger than you offers friendship, they usually want something." Olivia Kent, who had joined the captain on this mission, looked up from her datapad. "Their technology is at least 200 years ahead of ours. If they wanted to hurt us, they could have done it without saying hello first." The door opened and 3 Meridons walked in. Up close, they were even more impressive. Their skin wasn't just reddish-brown. It had patterns that seemed to shift with their movements. Grand Marshal Vorex led the group, flanked by 2 other Meridons who moved with the grace of dancers despite their size. "Captain Miller," Vorex said, bowing slightly, "thank you for meeting with us. These are Master Trainer Kravzul and Science Director Malar." The one called Kravzul looked at the humans with obvious doubt in his golden eyes. He was covered in marks that Alan guessed were scars, and one of his 4 arms ended in a metal replacement instead of a natural hand. The 5 humans and 3 Meridons sat at a large table. Through careful questions and answers, the humans learned more about their visitors. The Meridons came from a planet with much stronger gravity than Earth, which explained their powerful bodies and thick skin. Their society was built around a complex fighting system called Kirvash, which was both a martial art and a way of life. "Your people interest us," Vorex said after several hours of talks. "You are physically weaker than many species we have encountered, yet you have survived and thrived. You have many different fighting styles, but none that use internal energy the way Kirvash does." "Internal energy?" Zoe asked, leaning forward. "You mean like chi or ki in our Eastern martial arts?" "Similar, but much more developed," Kravzul said, speaking for the first time. His voice was rough, like stones grinding together. "Your concept is basic. Ours has been refined for 50,000 years. Vorex raised one of his hands. "What my colleague means is that our understanding may be more advanced due to our longer history with these concepts. We have never shared Kirvash with any non-Meridon species, Vorex continued. But we believe humans may have unique potential. We would like to invite the 5 of you to come to our training world of Kirvalen to learn our ways. The room fell silent. Alan looked at his team, seeing the mix of shock, excitement, and suspicion on their faces. Why us? Noah asked. And why now? Science Director Mylar spoke for the first time, her voice softer than the male's. The universe is changing. Old threats are returning. The Meridon way is powerful, but set in its traditions, we need new perspectives. Master Kravzul made a sound that might have been a laugh. These humans are too fragile for Kirvash training. They would not survive the first month. Perhaps, Vorex said, or perhaps they will surprise us. Captain Miller, the choice is yours. This would be a 5-year commitment. You would be the first non-Meridons to learn our ways in our entire history. Alan looked at his team again. Gabriel nodded slightly, ready for the challenge. Zoe's eyes were bright with excitement at learning new fighting techniques. Olivia and Noah looked cautious but curious. We accept, Alan said finally. When do we leave? 2 weeks later, the 5 humans boarded the Meridon ship bound for Kirvalen. As Earth grew smaller behind them, Alan wondered if they had made the right choice. They were heading into the unknown to learn alien martial arts from a warrior race they barely understood. What he didn't know then was that the Meridons had not told them the whole truth. The old threats Malar mentioned were already on the move, and the Meridons were desperate for something new to fight them. The humans were not just students but a last hope, though none of them knew it yet. As the ship entered faster-than-light travel, Alan Miller watched the stars blur around them. Their journey had just begun. The first 6 months on Kirvalen were harder than any of the humans had expected. The planet itself was challenging, with gravity 30% stronger than Earth, and days that lasted 30 hours instead of 24. The air was thicker, and had more oxygen, which helped them breathe but made fires burn faster and more dangerously. Alan Miller woke up before the others most days, his body still trying to adjust to the longer days. His muscles ached constantly from training. He looked in the mirror. He barely recognized himself. He had lost weight despite eating twice as much as he did on Earth. His body was changing, becoming leaner and harder. This morning, he found Zoe Washington already in the training yard, practicing the basic forms of Kirvash that all 5 humans had been struggling to master. Her movements were becoming smoother each day, but still nowhere near the fluid grace of even the youngest Meridon students. Couldn't sleep again? Alan asked, joining her on the training mat. Zoe shook her head. Every time I close my eyes, I see Master Kravzul telling me my form is wrong. She attempted a complex move and stumbled slightly. 3 more humans gave up last week. That makes 6 who've gone home. When they had arrived on Kirvalen, the humans learned that they weren't the only ones invited to train. 5 other humans from different countries had also been selected, but the training had been too difficult, and now only the original 5 remained. Gabriel Rodriguez joined them, moving stiffly. Yesterday, he had sparred with a Meridon student half his age and ended up with bruises all over his body. I figured. Something out, Gabriel said quietly, checking to make sure no Meridons were nearby. We're trying to fight like them, but we can't. We don't have 4 arms or their strength. We need to adapt Kirvash to work for human bodies. Before they could discuss this further, Master Kravzul entered the training yard. The scarred Meridon warrior had made no secret of his belief that teaching humans Kirvash was a waste of time, but lately, something had changed in the way he watched them. Begin the morning forms, he ordered, his rough voice echoing in the large space. For the next 2 hours, the humans worked through the basic movements of Kirvash. Olivia Kent joined them halfway through, apologizing for her lateness. She had been up all night working on energy manipulation techniques. Noah Parker was the last to arrive, his perfect memory allowing him to pick up where he had left off without difficulty. After the forms, Master Kravzul paired them with Meridon students for sparring. As usual, the humans were easily defeated. But today, Gabriel tried something new. Instead of attempting to match his opponent's four-armed attacks, he stayed defensive, redirecting the Meridon's greater strength and using quick, unexpected movements. He still lost, but the match lasted, twice as long as usual. Kravzul watched with his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. During the midday meal, the five humans sat together, speaking quietly in English. "I've been studying the energy manipulation techniques," Olivia said. "The Meridons use all four arms to shape the energy fields, but I think we can do it with just two hands if we change the patterns." Noah nodded excitedly. "I've recorded over 2,000 Kirvash forms. There are patterns the Meridons don't seem to notice because they're so focused on tradition. If we approach it differently..." Their conversation stopped when Science Director Mailer approached their table. Unlike most Meridons, she had shown genuine interest in human abilities from the beginning. "Your progress is unexpected," she said, sitting down with them. "Most of the Meridon teachers thought you would have all given up by now." "We're stubborn," Alan said with a small smile. "More than stubborn. You are adapting." Malar looked at each of them. "Kravzul has noticed too, though he won't admit it. The way you're beginning to modify the techniques to work with your bodies." Gabriel straightened. "Is that allowed? Changing Kirvash?" "Officially? No. Kirvash has remained unchanged for 10,000 years." Mylar lowered her voice. "Unofficially, it might be exactly what we need." That afternoon, instead of the usual training, Grand Marshal Vorex himself came to observe the humans. He had been away for months, dealing with what they had been told were border disputes in far-off parts of Meridon space. "Show me what you've learned," he commanded. One by one, the humans demonstrated their progress. When it was Zoe's turn, she hesitated, then made a decision. Instead of performing the traditional form, she showed a version she had created that blended Kirvash with Earth martial arts. A murmur ran through the watching Meridons. Kravzul stepped forward, looking angry, but Vorex held up a hand to stop him. "Continue," Vorex said to Zoe. For the next few minutes, Zoe demonstrated how she had adapted the movements to work with a human body. When she finished, there was silence. "This is not Kirvash," Kravzul said finally. "No," Vorex agreed, surprising everyone. "It is something new, something that might be valuable." That evening, Vorex called the five humans to a private meeting. For the first time, he showed them images of the border disputes they had heard about. But these were not simple conflicts. The images showed entire worlds burned and Meridon warriors twisted into something horrible. "This is the work of the Vexcar," Vorex explained. "An enemy we thought defeated thousands of years ago. They have returned stronger than before. They absorb the knowledge and abilities of those they conquer." "Why are you telling us this now?" Alan asked. "Because we are losing," Vorex said simply. "The traditional ways of Kirvash are not enough against this enemy. We need something they cannot predict, something they have never seen before." "You want us to change Kirvash?" Olivia said, understanding dawning. "That's the real reason you brought us here." Vorex nodded. "Your species adapts quickly. You see patterns we miss after thousands of years of doing things the same way. The Meridon Council did not approve telling you this truth, but I can no longer wait. The Vexcar are advancing faster than we expected." The five humans looked at each other, the weight of this revelation sinking in. "We'll need to train differently," Gabriel said. "If we're going to create new techniques, we need freedom to experiment." "You will have it," Vorex promised. "Master, Kravzul will continue to oversee your training, but from now on you are encouraged to adapt and create. Our survival may depend on it." As they left the meeting, the humans felt the change in their status. They were no longer just students struggling to learn an alien martial art. They were partners in creating something new that might save both their species. "So no pressure," Noah said with a nervous laugh. Alan looked at his team, seeing determination in their eyes despite the enormity of the task ahead. "Let's get to work," he said. 2 years had passed since the humans first arrived on Kir Valen. The training center that had once seemed so alien to them now felt like home. Their bodies had changed in ways they hadn't thought possible. They were stronger, faster, and more aware of the energy that flowed through all living things. Olivia Kent stood in the center of the practice arena, her eyes closed. 6 Meridon trainers circled her, each one ready to attack. Master Kravzul watched from the side, his scarred face, showing no emotion. "Begin," he said. All 6 Meridons attacked at once. In the past, this would have been impossible for any human to defend against. But Olivia didn't move like a normal human anymore. As the first Meridon reached her, she raised her hands in a pattern she had created herself. A field of blue energy formed around her, catching the Meridon strike and bouncing it back. The attacker flew backward, surprise clear on his face. The other 5 attacked from different angles. Olivia's energy field shifted and pulsed, deflecting each strike. When the last attacker retreated, she opened her eyes and lowered her hands. The blue field faded. "Echo Shield," she said, naming the technique she had invented. "It returns the energy of an attack to its source." Kravzul stepped forward. "This is not traditional Kirvash," he said. But his tone lacked the disapproval it once held. "Show me again." In another training hall, Gabriel Rodriguez worked with a group of young Meridon warriors. Once these proud aliens would never have considered learning from a human. Now they watched eagerly as Gabriel demonstrated a flowing sequence that combined 5 different Kirvash forms into one smooth attack pattern. "The traditional forms are powerful," Gabriel explained, "but they're too rigid. By linking them together without pausing, you create something your opponent can't predict." The young Meridons copied his movements, their 4 arms adapting the human's 2-armed technique. Some of the older Meridon masters watched from the doorway, their faces troubled by this change to their ancient traditions. Noah Parker sat cross-legged in the great library of Kirvalin, surrounded by ancient texts. His perfect memory had allowed him to learn the Meridon language faster than any human before him. He was writing quickly in a large book, creating the first new Kirvash training manual in 10,000 years. "Your work progresses well," said Science Director Malar, entering the library. "The council is interested in your findings." Noah looked up. Interested or worried? Malar's mouth formed the slight curve that was the Meridon version of a smile. "Both. Your human perspective sees patterns we have missed for millennia. It is both valuable and disturbing to many. In the main combat arena, Zoe Washington faced 3 Meridon masters in a demonstration match. 2 years ago, such a match would have ended in seconds with Zoe's defeat. Today she moved like water between their strikes, her body flowing in ways that combined earth martial arts with Kirvash energy techniques. When one master attacked with all 4 arms, Zoe didn't block. Instead, she stepped inside his guard and redirected his momentum, sending him stumbling into the second master. The third tried to trap her with an energy bind, but she dissolved it with a quick circular motion she had adapted from Tai Chi. The watching Meridons murmured in surprise. Energy binds were considered unbreakable in traditional Kirvash. Captain Alan Miller watched all of this from a viewing platform alongside Grand Marshal Vorex. His role had evolved from student to leader, coordinating the efforts of the human team while serving as their representative to the Meridon High Council. "Your people have exceeded all expectations," Vorex said. "In 2 years, they have created innovations that our race never discovered in 50,000 years. Humans adapt quickly," Alan replied. "It's how we've survived on Earth despite not being the strongest species." "There is news from the outer colonies," Vorex said, his voice lowering. 3 more worlds have fallen to the Vexcar. They are advancing faster than we predicted." Alan's face grew serious. "How long until they reach Meridon core worlds?" "Perhaps 1 year. Maybe less." Vorex turned to face him directly. "The High Council has reached a difficult decision. We will grant you and your 4 companions the rank of Kirvash Masters." Alan stared at him in shock. "But no non-Meridon has ever—" "Exactly," Vorex interrupted. "It has never been done. Many on the council opposed it. But we need what you have created. The traditional ways are not enough against the Vex car. That evening, the 5 humans gathered in their shared living space to discuss this unprecedented honor. Master Kravzul must be furious, Gabriel said, shaking his head in disbelief. Actually, he supported the decision, Noah said, looking up from his notes. I heard him tell the council that human innovation is the future of Kirvash. Olivia paced the room, her movement so smooth now that she seemed to glide rather than, this isn't just about honor. Vorex wants us to train more humans, doesn't he? Alan nodded. 50 Earth specialists are on their way to Kirvalin now. We'll be their teachers. Zoe, who had been quiet until now, looked concerned. We've been training for 2 years, and we're still learning. These new people will have weeks, maybe months, before the Vex car arrive. How can they possibly be ready? They won't learn traditional Kirvash, Alan explained. They'll learn our versions directly, the hybrid techniques we've created. A chime sounded, the Meridon equivalent of an alarm. Red lights flashed throughout the building. What's happening? Gabriel asked, jumping to his feet. The door opened and Kravzul entered, his face grim. The Vex car have launched an attack on Kir Valen. They've somehow bypassed our outer defenses. The 5 humans exchanged shocked looks. The enemy wasn't supposed to reach this world for at least a year. This is a training planet, Olivia said. There are students here, children. Yes, Kravzul agreed. And now we will see if your new ways of Kirvash are truly effective in battle. He looked at each of them. The Meridon defense fleet is hours away. Until they arrive, we stand alone. Alan stood up, facing his team. Then we fight. It's time to show the Vex car what happens when aliens teach humans their martial arts. As they hurried to prepare, Noah glanced at Zoe. Are we ready for this? Real combat against an enemy that's defeated Meridon worlds. Zoe's face was determined. We're about to find out. The sky above Kirvalin turned dark as the Vex car ships entered the atmosphere. They looked like giant black spiders, with long legs that reached toward the ground. Alarms sounded throughout the training complex as students and teachers prepared for battle. Alan Miller stood on the defensive wall with Master Kravzul, watching the enemy approach. In the 2 years since arriving on this alien world, Alan had never seen the old warrior look afraid until now. The Vex car have never attacked a central training world before, Kravzul said, his voice low. They seek something specific here. Alan nodded grimly. Us. They've heard about what we're doing with Kirvash. The first wave of Vexakar landed outside the main gates. They looked like tall, thin shadows with no clear shape, as if darkness itself had come alive. As they moved closer, Alan could see they weren't one species but many, twisted together in a horrible mix. Some had Meridon features, 4 arms and gold eyes, but distorted? Wrong. The hollow ones, Kravzul explained. Meridons who were captured and changed. The Vex car take our warriors and steal their abilities. The 5 humans had split up to defend different parts of the complex. Gabriel Rodriguez led a group of Meridon warriors at the south gate. Olivia Kent was with the energy specialists, preparing defensive shields. Zoe Washington protected the area where the youngest students had gathered. Noah Parker worked with Science Director Malar to secure the library and its knowledge. The Vexakar attacked all at once. At the main gate, they moved like smoke through the Meridon defenses. Traditional Kirvash techniques seemed to pass through them without effect. Meridon warriors fell back, confused and afraid. They've adapted to our methods, Kravzul said, his face grim. Over thousands of years, they've learned to counter every traditional technique. Alan touched the communication device on his wrist. Everyone, the traditional Kirvash isn't working. Use only the new hybrid techniques. At the south gate, Gabriel heard the message and immediately changed tactics. Instead of the formal Meridon battle forms, he shifted to the flowing, unpredictable style he had developed. He moved between the Vexakar attackers, never staying still, never following a pattern they could predict. Follow my lead, he called to the Meridon warriors with him. No traditional forms. Move like water, not stone. The young Meridons who had trained with him understood. They began using the hybrid techniques, blending their four-armed power with human adaptability. The Vexcar faltered, confused by these new movements they hadn't encountered before. In the Energy Defense Center, Olivia realized why the traditional shields were failing. "They're using our own energy against us," she told the Meridan specialists. "We need something they haven't seen before." She stepped forward and began creating her echo shield, but in a new way. Instead of just reflecting energy back, she twisted it, changing its nature. The blue field expanded outward, pushing the Vexcar back wherever it touched them. "They can't absorb what they don't understand," she said, as the Meridan specialists joined her, learning this new technique on the spot. Zoe, Washington faced 3 hollow ones who had broken through to the children's shelter. These corrupted Meridans moved with terrible speed, their forearms wielding energy weapons that cut through the walls like paper. Zoe stepped between them and the children alone. "You're not touching them," she said, dropping into a stance that was neither fully human nor Meridan. The hollow ones attacked together. Zoe moved like she was dancing, flowing around their strikes in ways they couldn't predict. Each time they adapted to one movement, she switched to something completely different. Earthboxing became Meridan power strikes. Tai Chi circular motions turned into direct Kirvash energy attacks. The hollow ones couldn't adjust fast enough. One by one they fell back, then collapsed as Zoe struck pressure points that even the Meridans had forgotten existed. In the great library, Noah Parker worked frantically with Malar to secure the ancient knowledge. The Vexcar wanted Kirvash secrets, and the library held them all. "We can't let them take these texts," Malar said, her hands moving quickly over the control panel. Thousands of years of wisdom would be lost. Noah looked up from the terminal, where he worked. "They don't want the texts. They want what's in our heads, the new techniques we've created." A loud crash shook the building. The Vexcar were breaking through the library's outer wall. Noah's perfect memory had already recorded every important text, but that wouldn't help if the Vexcar captured him. "We need to get to the others," he said, pulling Malar away from the controls. "Together we're stronger." At the main gate, Alan and Kravzul fought side by side. The old master had abandoned traditional Kirvash for the first time in his long life, adopting the hybrid style Alan had developed. Together they held back wave after wave of attackers. "The defense fleet?" Alan asked between attacks. "Still an hour away," Kravzul answered. "We must hold until then." Suddenly their communication devices crackled with Olivia's voice. "I've discovered something important. The Vexcar can't copy our hybrid techniques. They can learn traditional Kirvash instantly, but our human variations confuse them." Alan looked at Kravzul. "That's why they attacked early. They're afraid of what we've created." A new sound filled the air, the engines of ships entering the atmosphere. For a moment, Alan feared more Vexacar had arrived. Then he saw the Meridan, symbol on their hulls. The defense fleet had arrived early. The tide of battle turned. The Vexcar, faced with techniques they couldn't copy and reinforcements they hadn't expected, began to retreat. Within an hour, the last enemy ships were leaving Kirvalin's atmosphere. The 5 humans regrouped in the central courtyard, tired, but alive. Around them, Meridan warriors looked at them with new respect. Their hybrid techniques had saved the training world when traditional Kirvash had failed. Grand Marshal Vorex arrived with the fleet. His face was grave as he surveyed the damage. "You have proven yourselves beyond question," he told the humans. "But this attack was only the beginning. The Vexcar now know our greatest weapon against them. They will return in greater numbers." "Then, we need to be ready," Alan said. "How soon can those 50 human specialists arrive?" "They are already on their way," Vorex replied. "But we need more than 50. We need thousands." The 5 humans exchanged looks. What had begun as learning, alien martial arts had become something much bigger. Now they weren't just students or even teachers. They were the front line in a war for survival. "Then we'll train thousands," Gabriel said. As night fell over Kirvalin, repairs began on the damaged buildings. The humans worked alongside Meridans, no longer separate but united by shared danger and purpose. The real test was still to come. 5 years had passed since the aliens first taught humans their martial arts. What began as a strange experiment had become the foundation of an alliance that changed both species forever. The Great Hall of Earth Defense Headquarters was filled, with both humans and Meridans. What once would have seemed impossible, these proud warrior aliens standing shoulder to shoulder with humans as equals, was now simply the way things were. Captain Alan Miller, now wearing the formal robes of a Kirvash War Master, stood at the front of the hall with his 4 companions. They had all changed in ways that went beyond physical appearance. Their bodies moved with a fluid grace that was neither fully human nor Meridan. Their eyes held a depth of awareness that came from mastering energy fields most humans couldn't even see. "Today we celebrate 5 years of partnership," Alan said, his voice carrying easily through the large space. 5 years ago, the Meridans took a chance on teaching humans their sacred martial arts. None of us could have predicted where that path would lead. The hall was filled with hundreds of human Kirvash practitioners. Some had trained on Kirvalan for years. Others had learned the hybrid techniques on Earth from the original 5 masters. All of them represented a new type of warrior, one that combined human creativity with Meridan power and discipline. Grand Marshal Vorex stepped forward to stand beside Alan. The old warrior looked tired but proud. The war against the Vexkar had been costly, but the tide had finally turned. "The decision to teach humans Kirvash was the most controversial of my long life," Vorex said. "Many Meridans believed our sacred traditions should remain ours alone. I am grateful I did not listen to them." In the 3 years since the first attack on Kirvalan, the war had spread to dozens of worlds. The Vexikar had pushed deep into both Meridan and human space before their advance was finally stopped. What turned the tide wasn't superior numbers or technology, but the one thing the Vexkar couldn't copy: the hybrid fighting style that combined human adaptability with Meridan power. Noah Parker, whose perfect memory now contained more knowledge of Kirvash than any living Meridan, stepped forward. "We've created something neither of our species could have developed alone," he said. "The Meridan traditions gave us structure and power. Our human perspective allowed us to see new possibilities in those ancient forms. Olivia Kent demonstrated this by creating an energy field between her hands. Unlike the traditional blue fields of Meridan Kirvash, hers shifted through colors like a rainbow, each color representing a different type of energy manipulation. What had begun with her echo shield had evolved into an entirely new branch of energy techniques that even untrained humans could learn quickly. We've made energy manipulation accessible to everyone," she explained, as the field expanded to include several nearby humans. "These defensive techniques can be taught to civilians in weeks, not years." Gabriel Rodriguez had become the combat instructor for the Joint Earth-Meridan Defense Forces. Under his guidance, hybrid fighting techniques had spread to thousands of warriors from both species. He didn't speak much during the ceremony, but when he demonstrated a flowing combat form with 4 Meridan partners, the entire hall fell silent in appreciation of its deadly beauty. Zoe Washington had taken hybrid Kirvash in yet another direction, focusing on its applications for healing and recovery. Working with Meridan scientists, she had developed techniques that helped wounded warriors heal faster and more completely. "The same energy that can defeat an enemy can also restore balance to an injured body," she explained, helping a young Meridan with a damaged arm demonstrate a gentle healing form. Master Krav Zul, once the most vocal opponent of teaching humans, now served as the head trainer at the new Joint Academy on Mars. His scarred face showed rare emotion as he addressed the gathering. "I was wrong," he said simply. "I believed Kirvash could only be preserved by keeping it unchanged. I did not understand that true preservation comes through evolution." The ceremony continued with demonstrations from both human and Meridan students. Some showed combat applications that would have been impossible 5 years ago. Others demonstrated how Kirvash energy techniques were being used in non-military ways, for healing, communication, and even art. As the formal events concluded, Alan found himself standing with his 4 original teammates near a large window, overlooking Earth. From orbit, their home planet looked peaceful, giving no hint of how close it had come to destruction. Did you ever imagine this is where learning alien martial arts would lead? Noah asked, looking at the mixed crowd of humans and Meridans. Never, Zoe admitted. I just wanted to learn new fighting techniques. I didn't expect to help create a whole new way of life. The Vexcar are still out there, Gabriel reminded them. Weakened but not defeated. They'll be back eventually. And we'll be ready, Olivia said. Each new generation of students takes what we've created and makes it their own. The hybrid Kirvash keeps evolving faster than the Vexcar can. Adapt to it. Alan looked at his team, his friends, and felt a deep sense of pride. The Meridans taught us their martial arts, he said, but together we created something neither species could have imagined alone. As the Earth turned below them, ships departed for Mars, carrying the next group of students to the Joint Academy. Among them were humans and Meridans, but also representatives from 3 other species who had joined the alliance against the Vexcar. Each would bring their own unique perspective to Kirvash, changing it further. That evening, in a private ceremony attended only by the original 5 humans and the Meridan High Council, Grand Marshal Vorex formally handed over the oldest written records of Kirvash to Noah Parker. The future of our ways is now in your hands, he told the humans. Not because we have failed, but because you have shown us that preservation without change is not preservation at all. It is stagnation. As they accepted this sacred trust, the 5 humans understood that what had begun as aliens, teaching humans their martial arts, had become something far greater. A joining of different minds and perspectives that made both species stronger than either could be alone. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the remaining Vexcar retreated, unable to comprehend or counter the constantly evolving hybrid techniques born from this unlikely partnership.